Hi guys, my name's Blake Sciola and today I'm going to show you how to turn these lengths of timber into this face grain chopping board. Today we're going to be making two chopping boards, one predominantly out of Tasmanian oak and the other out of Merbau. I'm going to take you through the process of how I made my first two chopping boards. Let's get into it.
Okay guys, so first things first, you've got to measure the boards to length and then we're going to cut them. So the boards I'm making are about 400 mil long, so I've just gone a little bit extra than that 400 mil to give us a little bit of wiggle room if we need to square the boards off, if they don't sit flush when we glue them up, all that sort of stuff. And another crucial thing here to help us out is these boards are dressed all brown, which means all four sides are flat and square to each other. One problem though is with the Merbau, they're actually, I'm pretty sure they're decking boards, so they've got a small round over on these edges, and you can see me taking it off here, so I just got to cut a couple mil off each of those sides to get them square, otherwise it won't look nice when they're all glued up together. So yeah, then I've got to cut the boards for the width, and then we'll move on to the Tassie oak after this. So here we go with the Tassie oak, and we've got a nice thick board, and that means just less gluing up really. The wider the board, the less glue you have to use, and the less planing I'll have to do after it's glued up. So it's just minimizing the work. So here I'm just figuring out which sides of the board, which faces I want sitting up and all on one side, and just putting them together and see what they look like. And now we come to the glue up, and for the glue up I'm using Titebond 3, which is waterproof glue, and it's also FDA approved for food safe, which is exactly what you want for a chopping board. And then spreading out the glue just with my finger to make sure it covers all faces. You can use whatever you want, a silicone brush or a glue roller, it's up to you, as long as the glue covers all faces, all the surface. Yeah. Just when clamping it, I'm just trying to keep it as flat as possible, and to do so you'll later see me put what people call cauls on, just to hold it as flat as possible. You can see when you get a good squeeze out, that's how you know you put enough glue. I'm just wiping it up here. It's up to you. You can leave it there and scrape it off later. Doesn't really matter. It's just a lot easier to clean it up when it's soft and hard when it's dried. And now we're doing the second board, gluing that up as well. So just square off one edge. That way it makes it a bit easier when I square off the whole board later on at the table saw. Now here you can see me putting those cauls on I talked about earlier. Just trying to keep the board as flat as possible to minimise the planing after we take it out of these clamps. And one final clamp in the centre, just to ensure a nice tight glue joint. Come back after overnight and take it out. So here you can see me going at it with the hand plane. It did take quite a while, just because it's a hand plane. I didn't have a power plane when I did this, but it did leave a nice finish, and it certainly did the job. Yeah. So here I'm just squaring off all the edges of the board, and that's why I left them a little bit longer at the start, So now I can square them off to that 400mm mark. And I'm putting a nice big bevel on the bottom of this board. That way it acts as a handle all the way around, and also I think it looks quite nice as well. You can easily do this with a router. I just don't have a router. And then we did a small chamfer on the top as well, just to get rid of that sharp edge and add a bit of character to the board. What I do is creep up to where I want to be, and then I flip it round and do the same thing on the other side. So what I'm doing here is just marking the board with pencil, and once all those pencil marks are removed, that's how I know I've sanded all surfaces evenly. I start with 60 grit, then I move to 120 and then 180. After 180 I then spray the board with water and wipe it down with a damp cloth. Now what this does is it raises the grain similar to hairs on your arm standing up when you're cold. I then let it dry and later come back and sand it with 240. Now if you don't do this step, the first time you wash the board, the grain will raise and it will no longer be smooth. So it's a pretty important step to do. So after that, like I said, I come back with a 240. I hand sand those edges as well, just to get a really nice smooth finish. There's also a couple of edges that are just a little sharp, so I give those a small round over just to get, or not even a round over, just sand them down a bit just to get rid of that sharp edge. And after we finish sanding, it's time for the finish. And for the finish, I have actually made my own finish out of beeswax and mineral oil. And the mineral oil seeps in to the board and protects it, while the wax sits on top and protects it on top. It's a food safe finish, of course, which is needed for a chopping board. And it gives it a really nice golden colour, I think.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Alright guys, so here you can see our final boards. Really happy with how they turned out. Like the colours, finish is great, really nice and smooth. So yeah, thanks for watching.